Greetings to the dear listeners. I am your brother Essa BOKARR on our YouTube TV series Africa Bridge program, Critical Thinking with Essa BOKARR and others who are part of this structure. As we promised, we'll be doing this series and then be sharing them on the platform for our own benefit and for the benefit of all. The first two series we began with were underpinning the importance of understanding the psychology of dictatorship using the Gambia's case during the past 22 years, which indeed ended in 2016 under a tyrannical regime. Well, further down the line, we must remind ourselves that as people, as citizens who are expected to be assigned with tasks and roles, we cannot also live or continue to live in indifference. One has to understand one's operational environment by fulfilling that role in the form of being responsible and not irresponsible. Well, that being the case, some of us are known to be people who share such views with a lot of others. Therefore, to that effect, we cannot remain mute or indifferent whenever national duty calls. In this case, we are going to base our analysis today on three pillars, I would say. One is to fight ignorance. Two is to fight underdevelopment. And the three is to fight I would say instability. Well, fighting instability is something that any person who calls yourself a citizen of any given nation should keep on your priority list, or you should keep it on your pyramid of priorities, and it should be the apex of it, because nothing goes without these three. Well, if you think of it, fighting ignorance is the beginning of everything. Usually, being ignorant of consequences is what leads one to think instinctively, then start activities that will render a given territory ungovernable. Therefore, beginning with ignorance means beginning with the alpha. And then it can even be the omega of things, because the moment one isn't ignorant anymore, one is educated on circumstances or whatever it is, means there is light to usher forth through darkness. And then the other thing will be when somebody is charged with the responsibility of using that very knowledge to fight what we would call underdevelopment. Well, underdevelopment is not only tall buildings, but it is where we will be ready to understand the very meaning of the importance of collective development to substitute individual development, and then make sure that we close the gap between the disparity that we observe every day. The disparity between the poor and the rich, the disparity between the haves and the have-nots, and definitely the disparity between the intellectual and the one who believes that he doesn't have the possibility of using certificates to access resources. It's all about ignorance, because having a degree doesn't mean that one shouldn't have a farm, drive a tractor, produce what you eat, and then create a big business to employ others. But it is ignorance that will make one understand it. Then lastly is instability, but of course not the least important. Like we always say, last but not least. All these things I've mentioned before cannot be realized, cannot be achieved in the absence of stability. Well, the analogy I'm going to use today is that the world is the forest and countries are the farms that we clear. Depending on the size of your population, on your ability, you can have a small farm, you can have a big farm, but a farm is a farm. All right? So let's see it like clearing the farms begins with fighting against ignorance. Next stage is to collect the dirt and burn it, will be the act of fighting underdevelopment. Then stability. Well, stability is the fertilizer of the given farm, which is the country. Let me give you an example. Somalia, see it as a farm. Iraq, see it as a farm. Syria, see it as a farm. You won't tell me that there is total ignorance, because these are countries that are known historically to harbor one of the best universities and research centers in the world, and they have the ulamas, the researchers, astrologists, astronomers, and the anthropologists in them. Yet still, they cannot realize anything because of instability. So it is like a huge farm with all the possibilities except fertilizer. Now, without that fertilizer, nothing will grow to look good. Nothing will grow to produce. Then there will be no harvest. And where there is no harvest, there won't be consumption, local or consumption to be exported. So let's see it that way. Clearing the farm begins with fighting ignorance and fighting underdevelopment. And then the fertilizer of that farm, which is the country, is stability. So why not we work on making sure that we have a fertile land to grow our hopes and aspirations on, or we add fertilizer to the barren soil so that we can produce what will give us good fruits or a good yield. That will be the end of our video today on the Africa Bridge YouTube TV series, Critical Thinking with Essa, BOKARR, and others who are part of the structure. And this is not limited to anybody. Anyone who wants to make a video, you want it to be heard, if you make it, I receive it, we'll look at it and then post it. No problem. Thank you very much.